And so good morning, everyone. I am so excited about today's table talk. And the reason I'm excited about today's table talk, because I have a very good friend, a longtime friend of mine on with me this morning, Miss Raschelle McClean. And when I heard her story, actually I heard her story on a YouTube video, and I knew I had to have her on. So first and foremost, Raschelle, I have to say good morning to you.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you for coming to the BW virtual table.
Amen. Thank you.
And so first, I want to say it's an honor and pleasure to have you at the BW virtual table, first and foremost. But
it's an honor to be here.
Thank you. I want to tell the women why I wanted you at the table. So on last month, you posted a video, and the video was called Why I Stayed. And when I watched that video of you, it was so powerful, Raschelle. And you were real, you were raw, and the authenticity came through so strong. I'm like, she has got to tell her story to the table. And so again, the video was called Why I Stayed. So of course I have to start this table talk off with asking you that question. Why did you stay? And of course, you all, when she talked about why I stayed, she's talking about a toxic 19-year marriage is what the video was about. So why did you stay?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I am not here to bash my ex. We're actually finally able to have a friendship now. And he's finally getting the counseling that he needs because I left, So this is not about me bashing men or bashing my ex. This is about us as ladies being accountable for our actions and what we need to do. So the reasons why I stayed was mostly because of one word: fear. Fear, fear of being alone, fear of being a single mom, fear of starting over. I have 4 children with him. Who's going to want me with 4 kids? All the little negative thoughts that we as women tell ourselves, we got kids, we got sons, so these boys need their daddy. So let's stay and let them see toxicity. It just makes no sense. So that was the main reason. And it's also embarrassing. You post the vacations and your nice pics, and now y'all broke up. I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's not healthy to stay in a toxic relationship for anyone. It's not good for the kids. It's not good for you. It's not good for your spouse. And me staying enabled my ex-husband to continue those same behaviors. And then I started showing those same behaviors. In the beginning of our marriage, he cheated. So, oh, you gonna cheat? Well, I'm gonna cheat too. And, we both cheating, like, what's going on? And I realized that I'm married to God, and God never cheated on me. So
that's powerful.
God never cheated on us. So it's 3 people in a marriage. And I realized that I am changing who I am to hold on to this relationship, to punish this person, but I'm still there, and my presence enabled those behaviors. And every time he cheated and I took him back, he lost a little bit more and more respect for me. And I lost respect for myself,
One of the most powerful
the main reason why I stayed was
one of the most powerful things that you said was that fear caused you to stay. And I so agree with you, because fear seems to paralyze us as women. And it's funny that you should say that, because you and I, we've talked over the years, and one of the reasons that I stayed was because of the same reason. Would I be able to take care of myself? Who would want me with 3 children? And so I could really, really relate to you saying fear, and because it paralyzes so many women. What was the straw for you? Because you said you was fearful. What was the straw for you that broke the camel's back, where you said, you know what, I'm no longer going to let this fear paralyze me. I'm going to just step out on faith?
Well, not to bring up R. Kelly, but we know the song, When a Woman's Fed Up, right? It was an accumulation of things over the years. Really, I was done within the marriage. I was done, and I was done, but I stayed, and we were legally married, and we lived together, and of course we had physical intimacy and all of that, but it was an accumulation of things. Every time I was pregnant, he would cheat, and we got 4 kids, so that I knew about. He was disrespectful, he I felt devalued, but the last time, what really did it was infidelity again, my son was on the tablet, and he didn't remember that it was linked to his Facebook Messenger account. And I'm just being a good mom, trying to see what my son was doing online. And I clicked the button, and all these messages just came and just downloaded this. And I was there reading what he was sending this woman at his job. And this was the same woman that 5-10 years before, I knew something wasn't right, but he made me feel like I was crazy, and so as women, we doubt our intuition, because I'm like, she's contact you every birthday. She got to be the first one to say, hey, boo. And it was inappropriate. And I said something about it to him, and he was like, oh, she's just a friend from work. And that same woman was the woman that he was messaging, very inappropriate messages. And they were talking about what they plan on doing. And I was done. That was it.
So that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, that was a straw. I mean, I had biblical grounds way before, but that was because we were supposedly being a good place. I thought we were in a good place at the time,
And I think that's the most hurtful part, when you think you're in a good place and you're really not. And one of the things that you said, and I don't know if this has happened to you, one of the things that caught my attention, what you said he cheated and I began to cheat. And for men, they can just cheat and really have no emotional attachment. When women cheat, we're trying to fill that emotional void. And when we find somebody to fill that void, sometimes it's hard to reconnect in your marriage. Did you find that to be the case?
Yeah, it was a guy from work, and I thought, oh, I would never cheat. I would never do this. I'm a Christian. I was choir director. And he was just breaking me down every day. He would have flowers in my classroom. He would email me. He found my email. He was just wooing me. And then I go home and, it's like a dry desert. I get criticized. And my love language is words of affirmation. So criticism to me is like, you don't love me. And he's like, oh, you burnt the chicken. Look at this. Look at the kid. And he's taking out all this withdrawals and not putting deposits in, which made me clam up and not want to be physically intimate with him. And so now he feels he has, so it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It makes you, and I was wrong in that. You cannot solve problems within your marriage by bringing in a third party. And I tried to get counseling. I said, hey, let's go to counseling. No, you need to go to counseling. You crazy. And when we finally did have marital counseling, he got up in the meeting, got up and just left. But now when I finally left for real, oh, he's in counseling, sitting down, doing group sessions, talking about how he lost the best woman he ever had. And it's because I left. And even my
grandmother used to always say, you don't miss your water till your well run dry.
Right. And divorce is not easy for anyone. It affects, my oldest son is 21, and he reached out to his dad, and he was like talking to him about, what happened, why aren't you and mom together? So divorce is not easy. I'm not here to no one can tell you to leave your marriage, because my sister was trying to tell me to leave for years, but it wasn't until I was ready that I left. And divorce is going to hurt the kids, and staying is going to hurt the kids, but which one is worse, So it's not easy.
Yeah,
And
it's not.
it's not easy.
And one of the things that you said in your interview is that your kids begin to disrespect you. They had seen that from their father so much that they begin to do the same thing, which speaks to something my grandmother used to always say, that when I got older, I found out was a lie. She used to always say, don't do what I do what I say.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is kids are going to do what you do,
Right.
no matter
Right.
what you say.
Right.
And
Right.
you felt that experience. And like you said, it always hurts the kids are the ones who's normally damaged from that situation. I just did a video the other day, sis, that's not your man. Because, you know, my husband and I, when we met, we were adulterers. We didn't come together the right way. And so the people that was most affected by that were my stepdaughters, which is what prompted me to do that video. I had someone reach out to me in the circle who decided to commit adultery, and it prompted me to want to do that video to tell, you know, people, you know, we do it, but it's not the right course of action to take, so to speak. Right. And so I had to do that video. And so you said your kids begin to disrespect you. How did you handle that?
I had to set up boundaries. I had to call the police on my oldest son, you know, because he put his hands on me. He pushed me into a wall, and I had to make a quick decision in my head. Okay, now, like millisecond decision. And I was thinking out the scenarios. Okay, he's 19 years old. He's a Black man. If I call the police on him, he's going to have a record. He's going to have a record. And as a Black man, he can't get a job, da, da, da. But I was like, no, I'm calling the police. You pushed your mama in the wall. And if I allow that, it's just like with a relationship. If you don't check that behavior right away, like, don't raise your voice at me. And you don't have to cuss at them, fuss at them, pull a knife. Don't talk to me like that. You have to check it right away, because they're going to keep pushing the envelope. So if I allowed my son to put his hands on me, the next day he's going to pull a knife on me, pull a gun on me. So I called the police. Now, a week later, I was in the state attorney's office, you know, telling them to drop the charges, because I did see change in my son, but I had to set up that boundary, and I had to teach him a lesson. The cops came, put your hands behind your back, took him down to county, right? And it's because my son told me when he was younger that he would put his ear to the door, and he would hear my ex and I arguing, and how, you know, the raised voices and the profanity. And then we would go, okay, let's the Sabbath, let's have worship, let's go to church. And, you know, the hypocrisy, the duality there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you know.
I know Raschelle, Jeremy, and you know my oldest son. I remember him looking at me and my husband in the face, and he said, because of you two, I never want to get married. Never want to get married. He said those words to us. He said, just watching you. And he said the same thing, the hypocrisy of it all. We get up every morning, happy Sabbath, how you doing? We put our church phrase on, we go to church, we praise God, and then we come back. And it's so much. Yeah. Man, how I've had to repent of that. I've had to go apologize to my children for that. Even when our marriage took a turn, Jeremy, just like he was the first one to call us out on our hypocrisy, he was the first one that said, man, I see a change. You know, I see the change, and I'm so happy for you guys, because honestly, I thought somebody would be dead by now, or somebody would be in jail. And so, so I really can relate to you on that note. And so,
and in the video, I said that I wanted my children to see me being cherished and respected. You know, that's one of my goals.
What you said was you want to experience true love. I watched your video like 5 times because it was just I really did. It was so powerful to me. I watched it over and over again. And you said you wanted to experience true love. What does true love look like?
Healthy. I was just researching that. Healthy relationships, they have a foundation of friendship, and that's what my ex-husband and I did not have. we're finally able to be friends now. But that's because we both accepted that it was not God's will for us to stay together. And we were trying to keep this thing together. Maybe his will was for us to have these 4 beautiful souls on this planet, but have a foundation of friendship. There's got to be open communication, like communicate about like blood raw. You should be able to have uncomfortable conversations in love.
Yes.
Sit and talk and not fight dirty. Oh, that's why your mama bald headed. That's why your daddy wasn't there. You can't do that. That's fighting dirty. And then the next day you want to make love. It don't work like that. So not fighting dirty, having trust, open communication, unlearning those toxic behaviors that you had to deal with in childhood, really. I learned about that I had unsecure attachment styles. There are 4 attachment styles out there. There's secure, dismissive avoidant, anxious preoccupied, and fearful avoidant. So, your viewers can go on YouTube and do research about that. But I was love anxious. Like if I feel someone's pulling away, I'll go closer. And it's because of what happened to me in childhood. So I went to counseling, I did life coaching, and I learned through all of that. And hopefully now I'm moving towards secure attachment. So healthy relationships will deal with that. Will deal with the roots of the issues. It's not just about feeling good and exchanging hormones and kissing and oxytocin and serotonin. It's not about that. It's about helping your spouse, helping your partner receive wholeness, and you wash them with love. You're not going into the relationship trying to be served, but to serve.
Yeah. And one of the things you just said, which I think is so important, and it was one of the pivotal things that turned Philip and our relationship around, because we had a huge communication problem that basically just tore our marriage down. But when we went to counseling, that was one of the things that the counselor told us: we have to have a conversation, even when it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
And it actually works. You have to have those conversations. And like you said, don't hit below the belt. Don't bring up the past, because we can be historical. We can go all the way back to 1979. You did this back,
Yes.
So he was like, always stay on the problem at hand, and always, like you just said, fight fair. So that's important. And so right now, after watching your video, I see that you're reclaiming your life. So what steps are you taking to reclaim your life? And what does the aftermath of it all look like?
Well, I knew my marriage was done. I knew I fought my way out of the marriage by going to counseling and trying to make it work I gave it a 19-year shot. And I was losing myself, who I was. Even my sister was like, "You're not the same. You used to be the life and the light of the party, and you're like a shell." And so I was able to go to the courthouse and file for free. I mean, I don't know if a lot of women or men know this, but you can apply for indigency, and you can be able to file for free. I mean, a divorce usually in Florida, it costs $400, and a lot of women don't have that, and they may use that as an excuse. So I was able to file for free, and it took a year for everything to be completed. And it's not like, okay, so I got rid of the toxic relationship, I'm good. No, there were reasons why I stayed. Other than fear, I had some serious self-esteem issues within myself. Like subconsciously, I felt like this is the best I can get. And even dating now, I had to realize that I shouldn't settle for crumbs. I just had to cut off a relationship because, I'm asking the guy, okay, I'm not going to have a text relationship. I want you to pick up the phone and call me. If you want to hang out with me, set up a date, okay? And pursue me, court me. I mean, if you need to look at the birds out there on the Nature Channel, but these birds of paradise, they court, okay? They don't just text, text emojis like no. So I had to set up boundaries, and whatever is not serving me, I release. and have faith, and not that slave mentality, that scarcity mindset. Oh, this is the last man on earth, I better hold on to him. No, you got to hold on to the Lord and to yourself. Okay.
So many people feel the same way you feel, that insecurity. And I don't think we really address our insecurity. And sometimes we don't think that women have, security issues. I look at you, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're educated. You was the principal at my daughter's school. I mean, you are a Black woman that rocks and still do. And so when you look at people and all of their accomplishments and their outer appearance, you'd be like, this is not a sister suffering from self-esteem issues. But there are so many sisters that suffer from low self-esteem. I've suffered from low self-esteem before. I didn't know my value at a certain point in time in my life, which is why I put up with so much of the toxicity in my marriage in the beginning, because I was like you. And it's funny talking to you, because even when we first met, we had a lot in common. And even now doing this video, we still have so much in common, because self-esteem was one of the reasons, fear was one of the reasons. And you just have to find yourself and find that voice, and know that you are enough.
Right.
And so you said that reclaiming, you went to counseling.
Yes. Also self-love, self-care. I wrote down some notes here. Like my counselor had me go back and write a letter to my 9-year-old self, write a letter to my dad, because I had daddy hunger. Even though my dad was in the house, and my mom and dad are married to this day, but my dad was not emotionally present. And so I was always looking for that male validation, that's called a daddy hunger. And maybe the guys, they might have mommy hunger, so you're trying to find it and self-soothe in these relationships instead of dealing with the problem. And to have healthy relationships, the two people have to be healthy. It cannot be one-sided,
Because in spite of popular belief, two halves don't make a whole.
Right.
You have to come into the relationship.
Yeah, when they say you complete me, no, no. You are complete in the Lord, and you're complete. And a relationship don't make you happy. I'm not looking for a man to make me happy. I'm already happy. I'm living my purpose. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm working out. I'm doing all. I'm trying to travel. I'm juicing. I'm cook. I'm making myself happy. I'm just looking for a companion to join that happiness. And so that's what I'm doing in rebuilding, looking at myself, and it's a daily thing. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. I understand in the Bible where it says that your price is above rubies. I understand my worth. You have to understand your worth. And if somebody don't bring a table to the table, you got to get up from the table. I don't have to eat.
That is so true.
I don't have to eat the crumbs you're giving me. And it's ironic that it seems the beautiful, attractive people who we admire are the ones with the most insecurities. It's so ironic, because I looked up to you. I saw you as a strong Black woman, and I admired you as well. So
it's a lot I've had to overcome, which is why I started the ministry, because I'm like, if I can just help another sister to get to the other side, because when you're going through it, you don't see the other side. You don't see the happiness, the joy, the peace that lies on the other side when you're in a toxic relationship. And you, for me, it felt like I was drowning. It was overwhelming. And it took me into just a deep, dark place. Yeah. And a lot of people in my family looked up to me. I was the strong one. I was the one that always did this. But sometimes strong people need help. Strong people need to be checked on. And like you said, it takes counseling. Again, just like you, I had those daddy issues. My dad was gunned down when I was 4 years old. And so I didn't get the love of a father from the time I was 4. And so I went looking for love in all the wrong places, which just led to not only was I in a toxic marriage, a toxic childhood. you know, and I just went from man to man. I just wanted to be loved. I wanted to be validated.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And when you have, like you said, you call it daddy hunger. I like that word. It causes you to make poor choices. And I made so many poor choices. But when I finally got to the point where I got the counseling for myself, that I was able to get counseling in my marriage, that I was able to find my worth, you know, it was then that I began to have peace. It was then that I could mentor somebody else and tell somebody else, you can make it to the other side. In some cases, you know, it can, because it takes two. You know, like you said, in your situation, you know, he just kept the infidelity going. But that's something else I found out. You can't make a marriage work by yourself. It takes two people to make it work. And I had to do one of the things you do, actually go file for divorce. A lot of people don't know that I did that. And that was a wake up call for my husband to say, I'm about to lose my wife. I got to get this thing together. And all the years he refused to go to counseling. But when he saw how serious I was, you know, he was like, I'm going, whatever it takes to save my family. But like you, I'm like, who would want me with 3 kids? And I was like, I grew up without a father. I don't want that for my daughter.
Right.
Because I know when you grow up without a father, you know, I know what happens. And I wanted so desperately for her dad to be in her life that I was willing to put up with anything. But then I had to stop, and I had to realize that for my daughter, I was her hero. You know, and everything I did, she wanted to be like mom. So I'm like, I'm teaching my daughter that it's okay for a man to talk to you like that. It's okay for a man to treat you like that. And it's not okay, really. So I'm like, is this really what I want for her? Am I willing to allow her to, sacrifice this just to have her dad in her life? And so that was a hard choice that I had to make. And I just stepped out on faith, and praise be to God, it worked out. With me taking a stand and finding my worth as a woman. And again, that's why I started the ministry that I've started now, Better Woman, Better Wife. One of the things that you said, and it was funny when I was watching your video, you said in your video, a healthy relationship starts with you. Now, my tagline for my ministry is be better, but my mantra is a healthy relationship starts with you. That's the whole mantra of my ministry. So that was so funny that you said that. I'm like, that's my mantra for my ministry. Because I'm like, you can't be a better wife until you become a better woman. You know, it all starts with you. You knowing your worth, you getting yourself together, you getting your finances together, you getting your health together, you getting the counseling that you need, because we all come with that baggage. And once you can get you together, then you show up in a marriage a whole totally different way. And when you show up a different way, it's things that you're not gonna accept in a marriage. And so when I got myself together, I went back to school, I got my nursing degree, I got my health in order, I got my finances together. And so when I showed up as the new Felicia, you know, I could no longer deal with the mess that my husband was trying to dish to me. So I'm like, I'm out. You know, and that was the turning point in, you know, in our marriage. I showed up being the best version of myself, and as the best version, I can't accept this. You know,
you can't live your purpose in a toxic relationship. Like, I'm in school, I'm doing at my job, trying to fight back tears, and I can't be the best mother. My breast milk even dried up. I'm pumping and the milk because of the stress. And I didn't even relate the two until when I saw that movie on Netflix with Waco and David Koresh, how all the nursing mothers, their breast milk dried up. And it's because under stress, the FBI was out there, and, you know, they thought subconsciously they were going to die. And so the body was in self-preservation mode, and their milk dried up. And
never heard of that before. Wow.
You can't even be in your you can't be a mother if you're in a toxic relationship. And you have to reparent yourself. Like, my dad is never going to be the father I want him to be. You know, I picture myself just sitting in his lap, and, you know, he's never going to be it, because his dad didn't do that to him. But I can love him where he's at now, and I can reparent myself. I can be available to myself. The love that I needed from my dad, I can give to myself. You know, so
that's so powerful. And people don't realize the effect that stress has. Stress will kill, you
Literally.
know. And like you said, you can't show up as a mom when you go to work. You're not the best employee, because like I said, the relationship, it just overtakes you when you're in a toxic relationship, and you just can't function at your best. You just can't do it. And so we're about to end this, but is there any closing remarks that you want to leave with the women who are still in it, who still making a decision to stay, for whether it be fear, whether it be self-esteem, whether it be I can't find nobody else? I've actually had people to come to my table talk and say that, like, this is the best I can do.
Wow.
So do you have any closing remarks?
I mean, again, we cannot tell a woman, or we can't tell someone to leave their marriage, to leave the relationship. That is on them. And women, we have a hidden superpower. It's called intuition. And we know whether or not it's done. We know whether this person will change. But all relationships, there's a language. There's a language between two couples that has been learned. So if you have taught each other to speak to each other with yelling and profanity and belittling and devaluing and discardment, that language is hard to break. That's like, now you coming in speaking German. He's like, what? Well, I don't know. You coming now? Now I want you to respect me. He's not gonna understand, you know. So you have to set up boundaries, and you really, like Fee said, you have to respect yourself. And that's what it came to with me. Like, I was like, no more. Today is the day. I am done. Like, I don't have to stay here. Isn't this wonderful? I don't have to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to the point where, you know what? If I never get another man, I'm good. I got me. I'm good. I'm able to travel, and I'm single. You can enjoy it. Nothing's wrong with singleness. Is not a curse. Of course, we want companionship, and we want to have sex again. I'm keeping it real, but it's better to have ourselves and our sanity, because women are going to early graves in relationships trying to hold on to a man, because you have not checked that type of behavior. You have enabled that man by staying. I enabled my ex. I must not be that bad, because I still got Raschelle. She's here for 19 years, so I must not be that bad. It was not until I left. When I left, this man put himself in counseling. He is a new father to his kids. My oldest son was like, wow, he's a different person. Yeah, it's because I left.
That was a wake-up call for him.
That was a
And in your video, you handled that with so much class, because even when you started this video, you said, this is not to bash my ex in any way. And when I listened to your video, you didn't say anything bad about him. It was about you and the freedom that you had now and the peace you had, but not once did you bash him. And
because
so
I know that one day my kids might watch this or he might watch it. And in fact, I had a dream that he got remarried to a wonderful, beautiful woman with natural hair. And I told him about the dream. And I said, you know, God wants you to be happy. And in the dream, I was like an omniscient observer, and I felt happy for him. And I shared that with him, you know. And yeah, this is the father of my 4 children. So we're going to have a soul tie forever. And it's not about me, oh, he's a dog and da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I could tell y'all some stuff, and he probably could tell you some stuff that I did, you know. So yeah, it's not about that. The whole purpose of me doing that video, because I was nervous, right? Because you have to be vulnerable. I don't know who's gonna watch it. They're gonna use it against me. Like one of my, when I directed the choir back in the day, one of my choir members wrote on the YouTube comment, "Oh, I told you to leave years ago and you stayed." It was a male member, and I said, "Young man, women leave when they're ready." I was not ready. I was not emotionally and mentally ready to leave. Yeah. So, you know, you got to love yourself. It starts with the love of God and believe right now. And I'm not in a relationship right now, but I am fulfilled. I am content. I am happy. I've learned so much about myself and what I like, my hobbies, what I want from a relationship. I didn't know that before. And dating in 2020 is totally different from 20 years ago, right? But I know God can provide. He's Jehovah Jireh. He can provide a man. He can provide.
Yes, he can.
So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, yeah. And it teaches you so many lessons when you go through a 19-year experience. Because I even heard you a few minutes ago, and you said that you were talking to a young man that you had to cut off because he just wanted to text. And
Yeah.
so it's just things when you find you, it's just things you just won't accept.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, that's a lot. You got a lot of requirements to pick up the phone and call me."
It was a lot of requirements.
And I said, young man, when you meet the woman that has your code, when you meet the woman that you really want, that you know is gonna be your wife, you won't have this conversation. You will understand how to pursue. Because I've been pursued by men who I didn't feel the same way, but they were calling me. I had to tell them, hey, you don't have to call me every day. Call me every other day. You know, because when a man knows what he wants, he goes after it.
Yeah,
you know, when it's reciprocal. So yeah.
Well, my friend, I have enjoyed this conversation with you.
Me too. This was
I
great.
thank you so much for sharing at the BW table, for bringing your realness and your rawness to the table. I pray that this inspire another woman to either get the counseling that she needs, or to, or to do what needs to be done. But again, like you said so very eloquently, that a healthy relationship starts with you, and we have to know our worth and our value. And so again, I thank you so much. And for those of you who want to have a conversation with Raschelle, she's open for it. You can actually find her on my mentor.life and just type in Raschelle McClean, and I will actually put the link down in the YouTube video for you. She's actually a mentor, a life coach, and so reach out to her. And then if you have any questions, we may come back and do open question session. So just type in any questions that you may have. And so again, my friend, thank you. It's been a blessing hearing your story. Such an inspiration.
Thank
you. And learning even for me as I watch your video.
Yes, amen.
So
thank you
so much.
Thank you.
And so you have a good day.